Hello, everybody. My name is Liam. I'm coming at you with some fantasy hockey trading tips. So let's just get right into it. Trades are a fun part of fantasy hockey, especially when you know the other people in your league, you're friends with them, you work with them, and there's a lot of competition going on. It spices things up. So there's a lot of people in my league that aren't open to trades. They'll just reject anything that I throw at them. They also know that I know a lot about fantasy hockey, so it's probably a good idea most of the time. But I have a lot of people in my league also. It's a 12-person league, and a lot of them know a good amount about fantasy hockey, so I usually end up dealing with them. So let's get right into it. These are some trades that I proposed, and I'm going to go over them, why I proposed them, and what's going on. You can start to break down the elements of what exactly goes into a good trade. So let's get into it. So what do we got? We got Jean Gabriel Pajot and Oscar Klefbom. I'd be getting from the other party, and he'd be getting Chris Kreider and Oliver Ekman-Larsson from me. So the reason I did this, I think Peugeot is due to get hot again. He's first line, first power play on the Senators. They haven't been good lately, nor has he, but he did get an assist in the other game. So he's potential to break out, potential to get traded. Kreider's also potential to get traded too. So that one's going to be an interesting one. Kreider's really broken out as of late. I'd almost rather have Kreider than Peugeot. However, Kreider does rack up a lot of penalty minutes, which are not good for this league. As far as Klefbom for Larson, I think Klefbom's the big win on this one. Oilers have the highest power play percentage in the league. Last time I checked, and Klefbom is on the first power play with David and Draisaitl. And Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, can't not mention him now because he's been so hot lately. Oliver Ekman-Larsson is first power play and consistently first power play, like Klefbom as well. He is hot and cold. He has breakout games, and then he'll just go like 5 games without getting any points. So he's kind of just on and off. I like Klefbom as a more consistent defender in this scenario. We are actually discussing potentially just doing Kreider for Klefbom, and I think Klefbom is better points per game in my league, and he's defenseman. But Kreider has really picked it up lately, especially since Zibanejad got back, so I'm not robbing him of in any way. And you don't really want to rob people, because one, if you do, people won't want to trade with you. I'll talk about one trade where it was a big steal for me. Wouldn't take it back though, just because it's really won me a lot of games, a lot of matchups. And two, you don't want to rob people as well. You get the reputation, as I was saying before, and you want all the trades to be pretty fair, but you do want to come out on the winning end overall. You want to keep the trades going. So, second trade that I'm offering Patrick Hornquist and Tony DeAngelo for Quinn Hughes, Braden Shen. So I like Quinn Hughes. He's been a consistent performer on the first power play for the Canucks, and the Canucks have some of the highest goals per game in the league. Braden Shen as well, top performer, first line, first power play on the Blues team. You definitely see this continuing because the Blues are just so good. They won the Stanley Cup last year. Braden Shen, big part of that as well, and he's just really found his game. Patrick Hornquist, not a bad pickup. I have Rust though, so the biggest part of Hornquist is on the first power play with Crosby, Malkin, Rust, and Letang. But I have Rust, so I'm willing to part with Hornquist. So he's not getting robbed here. Hornquist is still a good pickup as well, and he's been doing great since he came back from the injury. Uh, Again, I like Braden Shen more, though, than Hornquist. Tony DeAngelo, very good, hot lately, and that is one of the reasons why I'm getting rid of him. I know he did pick up a game misconduct, so that did drop his value, unfortunately for me. So maybe this trade won't go through, but I should have done it sooner than that. But what are you gonna do? So, that misconduct was like not gonna happen a lot. So if I'm him, I wouldn't be too worried about that. Tony DeAngelo and Quinn Hughes, very even, both first power play on high scoring teams. You can't really lose with either of them, I don't think. I actually prefer Tony DeAngelo. He's more experienced, and they have Zibanejad and Panarin, so I just think I like him better. Obviously, you could argue that they got Pedersen and Horvat, but let's take a look. Who's on the Canucks first power play? Pedersen, yeah, this is a great first power play as well. This is almost better than the Rangers, but the Rangers are good as well. It's almost a toss up between the two. At the end of the day, I'm gonna go for the Canucks on the power play. However, Tony DeAngelo seems to be the better offensive player overall than Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes does seem like he has the better situation. At the end of the day, Brock Besser's just been so good this year as well. Just JT Miller, huge breakout season for them. And Bo Horvat, very consistent as well. Also part of my trades as well. Unfortunately, I'll get into that one. Actually, that wasn't a trade. Never mind. So here's one trade. I was talking about steals, and I picked up Patty Kane when he was at his low in October, early November. So that's where he was at. He was at like 2.2 a game, and he was a first draft pick by the guy that I got him from. So he must have been down on himself. It's been a month. Patrick Kane maybe has lost it. He's getting old. All thoughts was going through his head. Arvidsson was first line, first power play, and he was doing very well at that point. It was hard to say no to Victor Arvidsson. We'll get into Tom Wilson later. Just pretty hot at that point, and you just get caught up in it. You get caught up. You don't remember that it's only been a month. You got to be patient sometimes, especially with Patrick Kane. And now he got injured, so you can see that flat line right there. And just been better lately, but still overall, obviously, Patty Kane's a big winner in this one. Again, that was the steal, and then yeah, he didn't want to trade with me after that, pretty much. I don't know how that got through because you can vote on these. If you got a recent activity in the league, you can vote on any trades that go through. Surprised that one did get through. So here's the other trade I did, and it was Keith Yandel for Tom Wilson. So as far as defenders are concerned, if they're around, in my league, if they're around 2.5 a game, they're very good, and the defenders are just harder to get high performing defenders than on the offense. Easier to get someone on the power play like Tom Wilson than it is to get Keith Yandel, who's first power play. So a lot of people don't realize this. Tom Wilson obviously had higher points per game than Keith Yandel at the point. And at that point, Keith Yandel was actually struggling at the start. Again, he's an older player, So you were thinking like, oh, maybe he's done. It's been a month. He hasn't done much for me, but he turned out to be a very good performer. Like almost immediately after I got him, he really went up. But Tom Wilson's done well, so that is what I like to call a perfect trade. Tom Wilson's done well enough, but I think at the end of the day I won because defender for a forward, the defender should have less points than the forward, you would think, but in this case, Keith Yandel has done very well first power play for the Panthers. Okay, so those are my good trades. And as you can see, I kept my players from good trades. I want to get into a trade that I wouldn't consider the best, but hasn't really worked out for either of us. Ryan Suter, picked up by another person that wasn't involved in the trade, because I dropped him very quickly. So here you go. I traded him for Anthony Mantha. And why would I do this? Same strategy. I was trying to, at that point, my strategy has actually changed since then. It was buy low, sell high, and Mantha was at his height. Ryan Suter's been very good this year, as I thought he would be. It took a while to get started. It wasn't the best drop for me, but I ended up picking up better defenders, so that's why it was turned out all right for me. I think I found better defenders than Suter, but Suter's done very well since I dropped him, because I believe he's still sitting. I don't think he's first power play anymore though, so his value is dropping. But after I dropped him, he has done very well. Just gonna check to see who is first power play. I think it's Dumba and Spurgeon. Yes, but he's still sitting second power play, which is always good when Zach Parise is hot, which he is right now. So not the worst time to have Suter. But Anthony Mantha obviously got a big injury, but you can't really consider that when you're thinking about trades, because people just get injured unless it's someone who's just always injured, like Ronta. Sometimes you gotta avoid players like that just always seem to be injured. Okay, sorry about that. I had to pause it. My voice was getting pretty sore, but just wanted to talk about another strategy I like to use is seeing the writing on the wall. So at this point, Darcy Kemper is bound to take over position as starter when he comes back after the All-Star break. So what I have right here is a situation where I can trade Elvis, who is on high right now. Not saying that he's not going to continue it, but I can get a very good player for him at this point. And since I'm first in my league, this is important because if you're not first in your league, like myself, uh, you gotta try to win every week. But I'm doing so well in my league, 14-1, so I'm not worried about losing a week or two. I'll be fine either way. I'm just trying to get the best players we can for the playoffs. And since Kemper is likely to make a return after the All-Star break, I'll have Kemper and Chari. Chari seems like he's still going to keep the position as starter, so I'm not worried. And the writing on the wall with Elvis is still not clear either because Corpusalo could be coming back as well, and that could cause a 1A, 1B situation. try to avoid that when looking at goalies. I like the guys who are gonna start almost every game except back-to-backs. But with Columbus, I was getting lucky and getting lucky now because Elvis starts every game and Corpusalo was as well every game. Torts just starts him every game. So he's got his own plan, and so it's 4 to 6 weeks. So that was December. So it's been about 2 weeks. So writing on the wall there. By the time we get into our playoffs, Corpusalo could be back. Elvis' stock could be down at that point. He's riding high right now. Everybody sees it. So I can get a good player for Elvis right now. And I think I might just propose find someone who needs goalkeeping and try to poach one of their better players. And then I can just get a fill-in goalie until after the All-Star break, which is coming up very soon. So I think I might wait until this week is done because I do want to win this week. But I really shouldn't wait. Strike while the iron is hot. But just want to see who else is playing before to make sure if I think he's gonna have some good starts, I'll keep him. Hurricanes could be a good start. So if I think he's gonna have some good starts and value could go up more, I'll keep him. And it also just help me out for this week in general. That was been decent lately though. It depends. I'll see what goalies are out there, and I might just do it. But yeah, let's see. Other strategy I have. Okay, so if you're desperate for wins, and say you got trading in my league takes 24 hours to go through. So if you want the person in your lineup, you gotta trade them now, and say it's 3:49 p.m. Eastern time. The trade will go through 3:49 Eastern time tomorrow. So you'll have them for the Thursday matchup. But Thursday is all full. So I have no room for a trade at this point. Any forward I get will just be excessive to the ones that I already have. I like my forwards and I like my defenders, so it's excessive. However, if I was in a real bind, really trying to scrap together a win this week, I would try to pick up someone on the Penguins who play Detroit on Friday, and they have Sunday matchup as well against Boston, who actually have been giving up a good amount of goals lately, which is surprising for them. So yes, 2 matchups. I squeeze in another player, and it helps out my odds of winning. And the people that I would trade would be the ones that aren't getting into my lineup. So if you have a full lineup for Saturday and you have a player that's not getting in, regardless of how good he is, you can still probably get someone of equal value on the Penguins. So say I wanted to get someone on the Penguins because I really need to win, and my lineup was full for Saturday. I would try to trade like Zach Hyman for someone around 3.1 a game. Then again, people might not know Zach Hyman, but he is playing with Marner and Matthews. So say Ekman Larson. Most people know who he is. He's a big name. Say I had a full lineup of Demon, and I wasn't going to start him. I could try to trade him for a Penguin. And I think he's replaceable. I think I could find a Demon who could replace him Hornick comes to mind on Detroit. He's available in my league. I could put in Hornick, and then I would have Hornick for 2 games next week, which Detroit play on Monday. I didn't update my roster yet for this. They play Colorado on Monday, and they play Wednesday as well. Didn't update my roster. Minnesota. So 2 potential games where he could get points in. I could have 40. And again, it really depends if you're in a bind or if you're just cruising like myself, looking forward to the playoffs. And you can even look that much forward. You can see when the playoffs start, what the matchups are. That's like really forward thinking. Also, if you have a week kind of wrapped up in your mind and you really want to win the next week, say this week, I was killing it. I was up by 60 on Saturday. I could have looked up the matchups for this week and made trades, which I actually did. And the guy I was going to get was Jonathan Taves. I was going to try to make a trade for him. However, I saw Kubelik available, so I was just like, it's not worth trading my players for a weekly ad, especially when I was 13-1 at that point, about to be 14-1. It wasn't going to be worth it just to win 1 week, so I just decided to pick up Kubelik as a weekly ad. I don't like giving in on weeks. I'm on a streak right now, 14 in a row, so it's kind of hard to give up. But one more tip for trading, don't get too attached to any player. So I know we all have players on your own team, but always look for something better. Same thing with drops and pickups. Don't get too attached. And, they're never as good as, sometimes they're never as good, sometimes. There's a lot of elite players out there, but sometimes you see like a second or third liner and he's like really hot. They're never as good as their high, not as bad as their low either. So you got to keep this in mind. Try to stay level headed, like Tony D'Angelo last weekend. Massive game. Boom, 5 points, 3 goals, 18 points. It's more than most defensemen in my league get all week. Plus, he had that 2 assist game, 2 games before that, just riding high. At that point, I should have been like, okay, see the writing on the wall. St. Louis Islanders 3 times. Although those are high scoring games, is what I was thinking. Trade him, get someone better while his value is high. So, yep, it's not always buy low, sell high situation, but sometimes it helps. You gotta try to see who they're with, who they're playing with. Is this pattern going to continue? Also, look out for line changes. Some teams are more active on their line changes than others. Some teams also have injuries coming back. We got Cam Atkinson coming back. So you got to think, how will this influence the lines? Where's Cam Atkinson going to find himself? Who's going to get moved around and where? So if you have a player that's hot, they'll probably keep their line or even move up to a better line. So sometimes you do want to buy high. Also, sometimes when they're not doing so well, they can get bumped. So just keep that in mind. Really depends on the coach. Some coaches also like to say, oh, he's not doing well. Maybe if I play him with these better forwards, he'll start to heat up. It's tough. But if you use my strategies that I talked about before, keep in mind which teams are good on the power play. If you're looking to picking someone up because they're on a certain power play, look to see what their percentages are, how many goals they get on the power play. It also matters how many times they get on the power play. So you can see Ottawa getting Pajot might not be the best thing, but he could get traded. Keep that in mind as well. Try to stay up to date with the trade rumors and try to stay ahead of the competition One thing, one way you can do that is follow me on Instagram. I try to keep everybody updated on the goings on, try to keep you ahead of your competition. Instagram as well, Fantasy Hockey Daily, 6Mantha94. Try to keep everybody updated, what's going on. Blake Coleman, hot, Gerard, first power play. So it's better to stay updated, stay ahead of your competition, and then you can make good trades. Any questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the comments or DM me or just at me on Twitter, and I'll respond 100% of the time. All right, so thanks for your time today. Have a great day.